Hi, I'm Devin, your wine club assistant manager here at Raymond Vineyards, and we are with the one and only lovely Stephanie Putnam in her red for the month of love. And we're going to be talking about your February Reds only shipment. This month we've got the small lot, the 2012 small lot Oakville Zin, the 2011 Rutherford Cab, and the 2011 Mount Veeder Cabernet. We're very excited to introduce this wine, so we'll get to it.
So this is our 2012 Oakville Zinfandel. I don't know how many of you are actually aware that Zinfandel is not a varietal that's planted that widely in Napa Valley anymore. Now, Napa Valley used to have a lot of Zinfandel and Grenache, but as we learned that Cabernet does excellent in Napa, and so when we had to replant all the vineyards in Napa in the late 1990s due to phylloxera, people just naturally planted to what seems to do best here in Napa Valley, which is Cabernet. So it's always kind of fun to find a nice old planting of Zinfandel and really highlight it for what Napa Valley can also do. So this Zinfandel comes from the small sub-appellation of Oakville, which is an area that's just north of the town of Yountville, a very small appellation. And specifically this vineyard is right along the river that kind of runs through Oakville, and Zinfandel really likes to have deeper soils, more fertile soils, so it can throw a lusher canopy to protect the fruit. And one of the great things about this wine is it really highlights the spicier, jammy side of Zinfandel without going over the top to the super hot, ripe, pruny, porty style of Zin. That's not the style of Zin that I like to do. I like to do one that's softer and sweeter and that has more inherent, fresher fruit and spice.
And
what do you think?
This is a really, really lovely wine, and something that I would probably pair a pepper-crusted tuna steak with. Maybe you should come over. We'll have a nice romantic date.
So this is our 2011 District Collection Rutherford Cabernet. And if you hear some little birds tweeting in the background, Devin and I are actually in our guest house where we have two lovebirds that actually, I believe, Jean-Charles gave as a gift to Gina when right before they got married.
They did.
Is that right?
Yep. And they love to make loving noises to each other.
They like to coo to each other.
Yes.
So
back to the wine.
So the 2011 Rutherford Cabernet. So sadly, this actually technically did not come from our estate, because if you've been to the winery, you'll notice that in 2010, the winter of 2010, we pushed out all of our vines because we felt very strongly that if we wanted to make the absolute best possible Cabernet, that we needed to replant all of our cab. So in 2010, we pushed out our vines. So this 2011 Cabernet actually comes from a long-term contracted grower that's on the northeast side of the valley. I'm directionally challenged. The east side of the valley, right along the river, and so the soil has very river bottom soil. So there's large, very round rocks in there, and it has classic Rutherford characters. A lot of roasted meats, roasted coffee. 2011 is a cooler vintage overall, a little on the lighter side, so that is reflected in the wine, but still you're going to get that inherent Rutherford structure and tannins that makes this the perfect steak wine.
And we hope that you enjoy this wine as much as we do. Cheers!
So this is our 2011 District Cabernet from Mount Veeder. Mount Veeder is a very special appellation for me because when I first started out in the industry, I actually worked in another winery on Mount Veeder, so it's kind of like going back to home for me. Mount Veeder is one of the cooler appellations within Napa Valley. It's on the west side of Napa. It's also one of the longest appellations. It almost runs probably from the town of Napa all the way up to Oakville, so it's very long, very narrow appellation on the west side of the Mayacamas Mountains. So for me, what always sets apart Mount Veeder is it does tend to have bigger tannins, but also almost a briary character. Imagine yourself walking through a thickets of blackberry bushes. You're picking fresh blackberries for a pie. It's kind of like that briary, that berry thickets aromatics for me. And this is 2011, so it is a lighter vintage, but you're still going to get more of those firmer mountain tannins with a little bit more brighter acidity attached to it.
Would you say this is a good chocolate wine?
All Cab is a good chocolate wine. So yes,
Well, we hope that you enjoy it with maybe some nice chocolates this month.
Specifically dark chocolate would be awesome.
That sounds delicious. Enjoy.